Splice Tray Engineering. I'm Chris, Blind Grind. Hit that like and subscribe. A couple weeks ago, the doctor told me I won't be able to use this jeweler's eye very much longer to see my phone with to edit these videos for you guys before I'm just permanently blind. So I'm gonna pump out as much information about splicing fiber as humanly possible until that day comes. There are splice trays in any different kind of fiber optic enclosure, splice enclosure. So it could be a cabinet on a wall in a CO. It could be an aerial can like a Coyote or a Tyco or a Corning. It could be in a pedestal. It could be a tray inside of an FDP mounted inside of a rack. Like the tray is just where the splice itself is housed in a safe manner, if you will. So if you're splicing all 12 out of a tube, tray them all 12 at the same time, because if you ever have to get in that thing, do any upgrades or maintenance, and you go to untray it, it's so much easier to untray 12 at a time as it is one at a time out of a tray. See what I'm saying? So burn all your fibers, set your sleeves down in the holders, whatever, on the counter table, burn them all, then set them in the chucks and dress them in. Do that one at a time crap. It makes a gosh dang nightmare for any of us that ever have to get into it. Like I said, I can't see for shit, so bear with me here. So if this is our splice tray, there's chucks inside these splice trays that hold the sleeves, the sleeve holders. Well, if the sleeve holders are any other way than just straight across, let's say they're angled that way. Well, you got to think about the fibers flowing out of the sleeve and into the tray. So it's going to flow down this side and up this side, which means that your buffer tubes can only come in on one side, or you've got to bring it in from this side and run it over to this side, because if you go straight in this way, you're going to end up with a micro bin trying to get it into that sleeve holder. You see? Makes it kind of hard when you start getting a bunch of drops in one tray, or you got several different MST pigtail tubes, which is basically another buffer tube. They're all just another buffer tube. When you start piling them up in there, it makes it real hard when your sleeve holders are diagonal like this. And if they were the opposite way, then you'd have to bring them in on the opposite side. If they're straight across, it's a lot easier. Now let's think about if we was putting a splitter inside this tray, okay? CO side comes in over here, our field side comes in over here. So one of these CO fibers, if you got one splitter, one of these CO fibers is going to heat up that splitter, right? And turn one fiber into heck 8, 16, it could be 32, whatever. So if we're taking a CO side fiber and we're splicing it to the input side of that splitter, we're going to think of that splitter's input fiber as a field side, because we're splicing a CO to it. So when we install the splitter in this tray, we want that input fiber to flow with the field side. So we would mount it this way. The single fiber would come out of the splitter and follow the field side cables or fibers, because ultimately we're heating up the other side to become the CO. They get spliced to drops, MST pigtails, ports within the enclosure or panel, whatever we're building. We want them to flow with our CO side, because ultimately they do become the traffic CO side. Now I had a guy ask, I don't know if he commented or emailed, I can't remember, about how to get the length of the fibers correct every time. I worked on so many different types of splice cases that all the trays were so different that I just personally would ring my tube, felt it, zip tie it, and I would dress it around until it met that spot in the sleeve holder, and then I'd snip them. I'd do that on both sides. If you were on a job where you were building the same splice case over and over and over again, the guys that I worked with would do, they would lock their splice enclosure down on their counter in their trailer or on their table. Then they would have a silver Sharpie mark where to ring the tube. They would have another silver Sharpie mark where to snip the fibers, and they could just open the cables up, lay them down, ring them right there, and they would just get it done like that. But I just personally did them each individually. You work on so many different types. Now, if I was on a job where I knew I was going to be building 100 of the exact same splice cases over and over again, I probably would make marks on my countertop or tabletop too, so I knew where to do it at. But this same philosophy applies to ribbon as well. I just never could build a very pretty ribbon tray. I could do it, it didn't belong in a magazine if you were to take a picture of it. I know guys that build cases like that though. They're just immaculate. Now if I ribbonized loose tube fiber, I could make it tray pretty well because it's a lot more forgiving. They're not trying to stack up on you in the corners and rolling and all that old crazy stuff. If it's a mid-entered ribbon cable, to take the little paper that's over top of the ribbons, because it spirals and it's hard to do anything with it because it spirals so much that loop does. So take the ribbons and twist the little bit of the spirals out of them, then take your tape and tape it. It's the opposite thing on the other side. Get a few of the spirals out of it and then tape it to the unitube, and it would help kind of make it flow more and it wouldn't have quite as many twists in it. Yeah, you just got to pay attention really to how the chucks are arranged, what side of the tray to come in and out on, and do it the same every single time. Develop that muscle memory. Speed comes with experience, and it's not exactly the name of the game. You just want to make sure you measure 3 times and cut once in this deal. Hope that helps somebody. Until next time.